May 1780. The American revolutionaries have just suffered a catastrophic defeat. Over 5,000 men, nearly 20% of the Continental Army, have surrendered to the British at Charleston. 3 months later, at Camden, Horatio Gates's relief army is shattered. Another 2,000 men are lost. American military power in the South has collapsed. As the new year approaches, British General Charles Cornwallis prepares to take the war north. General George Washington knows something must be done. He sends his most reliable subordinate, Nathaniel Greene, to take command in the South. Rather than risk a major battle, Greene divides his force into 2 wings. The first conducts an orderly withdrawal in the face of Cornwallis's advance. The second, under the experienced and crafty Daniel Morgan, swings west to threaten the British advance. Cornwallis sends Banastre Tarleton, young, impetuous, and ruthless, with a larger, more professional force to counter them. After a sharp 12-day pursuit, Tarleton catches Morgan near the clearing of Cowpens. Dawn, January 17th, 1781. The British Army, 1,150 men, is deployed in line. Cavalry protect both flanks, while 250 Scottish Highlanders and 250 horse are in reserve. A few hundred yards away, Morgan has deployed his army, a little more than 1,000 men, in 3 lines. The first 2 are comprised of local militias, undisciplined and prone to flee. The third is made up of 600 Continental infantry. A small reserve of cavalry, under William Washington, George's cousin, is behind them. Tarleton is confident of victory. He knows his troops are far superior in quality. At 7 a.m., he begins the general advance. The first American line manages a scattered volley before retreating. As the British advance against the second line, Tarleton sends in his reserve to outflank their right. But due to rough terrain, they collide with other units and slow the whole attack. The second line proves far more resilient. Twice the British light infantry charge, but are stopped by the weight of fire. Finally, an advance by 250 Legion infantry forced the militia to fall back. It appears the American army has nearly collapsed, but this is Morgan's plan. The British soldiers are exhausted, having run nearly 500 yards under constant fire from militia. When Morgan's third line of Continentals unleashes a volley, the British stagger to a halt. Undaunted, Tarleton sends in his cavalry to drive home the attack. They run down fleeing American militia, before being countercharged by Colonel Washington's reserve cavalry. In a matter of moments, the British are scattered. But along the main line, the British are having more success. Tarleton's reserves move to turn Morgan's flank. The Patriot right starts to fall back. Soon, the whole line is withdrawing, but it is not broken. At this critical moment, the Continentals turn about, fire a devastating volley at point-blank range, and charge the stunned redcoats with bayonets. Washington's cavalry arrives, slamming into the enemy flank. It is overwhelming. British morale collapses. Tarleton attempts to rally his men, but is ultimately forced to flee the field. It is an overwhelming victory. At the cost of 150 men killed or wounded, Morgan has inflicted 339 casualties and captured 600 more. For the remainder of the war, the triumphant Americans will dominate the backcountry. It is the beginning of the end for British hopes of reconquering the South.